What's up, vapors? Thanks for checking out Spin Fuel's Daily Vape TV. My name is Nick, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Petri Rda. Alright guys, so before I get into this review, I do want to give a huge shout out to Jay Sullivan. He's the one that let me borrow this thing for the purpose of this review, so big shout out to you, Jay. Thanks a lot for letting me borrow it. So what I have here for you today is the Petri Rda by Dotmod, as well as the matching drip tip to go along with it. The price is $100 on local vape, and I'll put a link in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. And the drip tip is $25. So what it is a 22mm RDA. The deck as well as the posts are all 24 karat gold plated brass. The deck is also peak insulated, and they use peak insulators throughout this device, which I think is great. It has two 3mm in diameter air holes that are non-adjustable, and the whole thing is made out of anodized aluminum. There are a ton of different color options available on local vape, so check it out and you can definitely find something that'll match whatever device it's going on here. So let's do a quick little vapor production shot, and then we'll go down to the close-up view. Alright guys, so as you can see I have everything laid out here for you. The only thing that didn't come in this little glass tube is the actual drip tip itself, but first of all let me just show you this little glass tube because that's what it came in. And in the bottom you can see some, I don't know, straw or something like that, and some spare O-rings, which it does come with. And it's kind of nice. It makes it look more, homemade rather than something that they crank out like 10,000 of, but it gives it kind of that nice crafty kind of feel to it. And the drip tip itself actually came in a miniature version of this, so I like that. I mean, it's kind of cool, but I don't know how much money was spent on making these glass tubes in comparison to the actual device itself. So let's go ahead and put that to the side, and we'll go over the parts and pieces all one by one. So here we have the aftermarket drip tip. This does not come standard with the Petri. This is an extra 25 bucks, and there is what you're paying for, the Dotmod logo. Now, granted, this is a pretty good tip. It is friction fit, so there's no O-ring at the bottom here, and it is a nice wide bore. You can see it there. But there are a number of different tip options that you can choose with this thing. I know they make chuff tips and stuff like that, or chuff style tips for it. But overall, this thing is pretty standard. Another aluminum kind of drip tip, and has the nice little Dotmod logo on it. So here we can see the top cap section. Really not too much to say about it other than the fact that it's a standard 510 drip tip fitting with a single O-ring here, which tends to get loose when you have some juice on it, so make sure you keep that O-ring as dry as possible. I know it's difficult, but if this thing gets a lot of juice on it, it tends to fall out, and this thing could roll away and you could lose it, so just be aware of that. Overall, it has a nice finished look to it, and I like that they have a nice little chamfer in here, which is definitely good for flavor. It has a nice flavor to this atomizer, so I think that little bit of chamfer kind of helps with that. Maybe helps a little bit of the splashback as well. So here is the barrel section with the Dotmod logo once again, and I absolutely love the logo. I mean, that's really what you're paying the money for, but I think it's a really awesome logo. You can see the 3mm air holes on the side there. Hopefully you can see through there pretty good. Which is, I find plenty of airflow through this thing. Some people might disagree, and it's non-adjustable, so you're kind of stuck with what you got, but you can kind of aim it in different directions if you spin the barrel around left or right to aim it at different sections of your coils. But other than that, that's the most adjustability you have in there. Not too much to say else about this thing, just a standard, barrel. It's an aluminum, lightweight, matte black. There's tons of different color options though, and I'm sure some people would tend to mix and match, so that's kind of cool. So this is what you guys came to see. This is the actual two-post deck itself, and as you can see here, it has the big chunky screw heads on top here, which are Phillips heads. They kind of look like they would be thumb screws, but I really recommend using the Phillips heads themselves. If you can see it, hopefully you guys can see that. It is a bit chewed up, and Jay, if you're watching this, I swear I didn't do it. It was like that when I got it. You can see the gold-plated deck, 24 karat gold-plated deck and posts, and that's gold-plated brass. They use peak insulators in the actual 510 connection as well as on the whole deck. So the whole deck is insulated as well. One thing that kind of does bug me about this thing is the fact that there's only one set of screws for both sets of wires. So when you're installing the coils, you have to fiddle with the wires and make sure you get them just right and position them just right before you actually tighten down each screw, which can get a bit tricky. One thing that really bothered me was the fact that the side-by-side design here for the coils, the screw, when it actually tightens down, doesn't quite lock in the wire like I thought it would. In fact, there was a little bit of a gap on either side which pushed the wire up and in, and it couldn't lock it in as well as I thought it would. And I'll show you a close-up of what I'm talking about right now, so hopefully there's a picture on your screen of the deck in the close-ups. And you can see that gap between the post and the screw. So as you can see here, it has two O-rings at the bottom, which it really keeps the barrel nice and tight on there, unlike the top cap. The barrel never fell off or anything like that. I can pick it up just by the barrel and it's going to be fine. Although I don't recommend trying it, but it did hold well for me personally. So two O-rings on there, and there you go. There's the .mod logo again with the serial number, and this is the version 1.5 Petri. It looks great when it's all put together, and it functions really well. It looks great on a lot of different devices too. So let's go back to the main screen, have a quick vape, and we'll talk about it some more. Alright guys, so we're back and we're going to discuss some of the pros, some cons, and whether or not I would purchase this device if I did not receive it for free for the purpose of this review. So let's start with some pros. My first pro is going to be the airflow. Now it is a single airflow on either side design, but they are 3 millimeters in diameter, so that combined with the two-post kind of design of this atomizer, I think the airflow kind of goes all the way through the deck, which is, you know, I think going to be the new norm as far as drippers are concerned. I feel like you're going to see a lot of those kind of designs coming out within the, coming years. So that being said, my next pro is going to be the top cap. I love the fact that the top cap comes off. It makes it really easy to drip. Way better than taking the whole top cap off. You don't have to mess around with your cotton or anything like that. You just take the top cap off, drip on it, and you're good to go. And if you replace it with a chuff style tip, which are available for this device, it's even easier. So the next pro is going to be the fact that it looks nice. I mean, it is a very good looking kind of device. I could definitely see why people love this thing so much, and it's mainly because the look of it. I mean, the logos are gorgeous. The one I have here, the matte black, is great, and overall, it's just a nice, classy, simple look. And my next pro is going to be the quality of materials. Now, like I mentioned in the intro, it's all peak insulated and 24 karat gold plated brass for the deck and the posts, which also kind of add to its beauty, as well as, you can tell it's a quality made piece of machinery. So my final pro is going to be the fact that you have several different tip options. Like I said, you can buy a chuff tip for it, you can buy the .mod tip for it, or a regular 510 drip tip if you wanted to. But overall, I think the classic combination of the actual .mod drip tip with the .mod Petri itself is a classic go-to kind of combination. And me being the OCD person that I am, I tend to line up my logos even after I take the top cap off to drip. I'll put it right back in place so it lines up nice and even. Alright, so let's go over some cons. My first con is going to be it's pretty pricey as compared to other atomizers in the same category. My first thought when I received this thing was, why wouldn't you just go with the Velocity? I mean, the Velocity does have a few different airflow options, and the posts have two sets of screws, which I really liked about it. And it's a little bit more pricey, but this thing here, I mean, for the price, it's okay, but it's nothing too special. That leads me into my second con, which is actually going to be the two-screw device. So it only has the two screws, as you saw in the close-ups. So there's really not a good way to evenly space your coils and lock them into place without just kind of hoping that one of them doesn't move when you're actually tightening down those screws. And the screws themselves feel a bit chintzy to me. I find that I feel like I'm going to strip the screws whenever I'm trying to really crank on them, which can, be a little worrisome, especially considering the price of this device. My third con is going to be the non-adjustable airflow. I know that doesn't seem like much of a con to most of you guys out there because a lot of people are just going to use this thing wide open without any issues, but I feel like the adjustability of the airflow can still be a thing that could be a selling point to some people out there, so I figure I should mention it. My next con is going to be the fact that for $100 it doesn't even come with its own drip tip, which I was kind of bummed about, especially since it looks so nice with the actual dot mod drip tip. And my final con for today is going to be, it looks kind of ugly when you get juice on the outside of the sleeve. It's very, very subjective con, I know, but I noticed that when I overjuiced it, or I got a little bit of juice on the top cap, which ended up onto the actual barrel of this thing, and it just kind of gave the matte look a bit of shininess to it, which I was not a big fan of. I tend to wipe this thing about 20 times before I go ahead and vape it. So all in all, I mean, it's a pretty decent device, but whether or not I would purchase it if I did not receive it for free for the purpose of this review. Now, this isn't mine. I don't own this thing. I'm actually going to be giving it back to its original owner, hopefully within the next day or so. But that being said, would I purchase it? Probably not. I would probably go with the Velocity over this device simply for the airflow options and the fact that it has the 2 sets of screws on each post. That being said, I do love the look of this thing. It is absolutely gorgeous. So if you're looking for something that's going to look really great, and it also does perform really well as well, and you don't mind spending $100, $125 if you want to get the drip tip with it, then I'd say go for it. But for me personally, I have my Kennedys and that kind of thing, which I use for my everyday use, and I absolutely love them. If I was going to go with a 2-post design, I'd go with the Velocity. That's it. That's the end of the story. However, that being said, I might hold off on giving this back to you, Jay, for a few days. So I hope you don't watch this video. Anyways, that about does it for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this device. Would you purchase it? Do you think it's worth the price? What do you think about the new 2-post designs for a lot of the new atomizers? So just let me know what you think of this thing in the comments section below. If you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button and give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed the content. And if you did, make sure you subscribe for more of my videos, as well as check out spinfuel.com. I have all my videos there, as well as Smoke and Joy and Spinfuel official videos. And as always, vape on!